Hello, my name is Mike Pfaff, and this is my YouTube channel, Living in the Illusion. Now, last time we got together, we talked about change, and I asked the question, hey, do you need to change now? Oh, pretty profound. Now, we think change is kind of a natural process that when things aren't going quite right for us, that we will make changes to make things move smoother. Well, that's not necessarily true, because when you develop a belief system, that belief system defines who you are. And so to change, you have to change sometimes a lot, sometimes a few. You have to change some of your beliefs which define who you are. And who you are is based upon your experiences with life and those memories that you created around those experiences. So your memories coalesce into beliefs, and your beliefs keep you where you are because they define you. Now you say, well, I'd like to change. This is too painful, and it's time to make a change. And of course, this is where affirmations and manifesting come in, because you want to do something different. You want to get something different. But to do that, how you define yourself has to change. So in the process, in the last video, and I'll put a link to that video up here for those that haven't had an opportunity to see it, so you'll have a little better understanding of what we're going to be doing today. Because we're going to be looking at, out of your belief system, the picture, the internal picture you have of yourself. And it's pretty well defined by your belief system. Now, your belief system is also the realm in which you think. You can't think thoughts outside of what you know, and what you know is defined by your belief system. It's all interconnected. Now we're going to look at what we can do to make changes. So that was what we talked about last time we got together. Now this time, we're going to talk about how to change the truth of who you believe yourself to be. And what is the truth for you? What you believe you are. What you believe. Your belief system defines the truth for you. Now, again, you can change it because you can get new information. You can analyze it and rationalize it in different ways, and begin to shift things around, but not really quick. It's a slow process to take in new information, get new experiences, and develop a change in your beliefs. Now, to change your beliefs, you have to heal past memories. I keep coming back to that because it's counterintuitive. In the world of manifesting, we want to manifest things right now into our life. And you can do that, as we discussed, by overriding your programming. But when you override your programming without healing it and changing the cause, there's a high possibility that when you stop overriding the program, you will move back into old behavior and old beliefs because you didn't change those. So now we're going to look at how life experiences develops our belief system and keeps us stuck until we change. Until we change our beliefs. Oh, this is very interesting. And it will be interesting because, as you may know, I was a psychologist for a number of years, over 20 years, and I have a lot of experiences with people who have tried to change and people who did a fantastic job of changing their life by healing their past. Now, your beliefs basically are held in place by two things. And you can see these in children. I might go into this in the future in more depth, but basically the two ways that we learn, even today, no matter how old we are, the two ways is by repetition, by doing something over and over and over and over and more times until it becomes the truth for us. And you see that in babies, toddlers, how they struggle to stand up and then fall down, and then struggle to stand up and fall down, and how they climb up your leg. And it's so cute for a little kid. Always looking up at mom and daddy. She's climbing up the leg and then falls down. And he does it again. And he does it the next day. And he does it again. And over and over and over and over until he masters that technique and makes it his. Much time is spent in that. So that's one way that we change, by repetition. Now, the other way we change is not well known. I say not well known because a lot of people have a strange impression about what I'm going to say. And here's the other way that we learn: by hypnosis. By hypnosis, or altered states. Now, how does that happen? It happens like this. The infant, even in the womb, their brain, when it's turned on in about the second trimester, the frequency of that is at a state that we call delta. It is a very low frequency, about 4 or 5 cycles per second. And at that low frequency, this is a hypnotic state. Now, they're not induced or you have to play soft music or anything. It's a natural state for a child as they are taking, as their body is beginning to shift and change within the womb. And after birth, they maintain that until around age 3, when it begins to shift frequency up to a higher frequency. There's a whole process. We're not going to go into it now, but I want you to be aware that these are the 2 natural ways that we change and learn anything: repetition and altered states. You may not have known that. You may have thought that you just automatically picked things up and you knew stuff and you learned stuff. No, there is a process to that whole realm. So now, as a matter of fact, when you sleep at night, you move into those lower frequencies, lower brain frequencies, and you are open to learn more information. If you look on the internet, you'll find that you can get tapes to play at night or on your phone so that you can begin to change who you are by moving into an altered state. Maybe that's new information for you, and maybe it's something you were aware of. But now I'm going to take a little sip of tea. Today I'm having a combination of peach, black tea, and green gunpowder tea. Green gunpowder. That's because it looks like gunpowder when it's made. And when it opens up, it has a wonderful aroma and flavor. So, now, we are programmed through our belief system from a very young age, starting in the womb. And that's another process that we can go in later if there's any comments that would like to do that. Oh, by the way, before we go on, do push the subscribe button below and hit the little bell, and you'll get notifications when I put these out. Also, hit the like button if it makes sense to you. Now, I'm going to take an example from my files of working with clients. And I recognize that I have to change a lot of the dynamics around that so that there is confidentiality. So we're going to call this client that I'm going to give you some information on, client A. That's all. client A, and I'll give you some information. This particular client is the oldest of two siblings, and is now over 30. He has two children, and a lot of anxiety and trauma. Most of it is because he doesn't know how to let go and heal his past or her past. Let me see, what's another thing? Growing up, the father didn't seem to be involved too much in the client's life or concern. But the mother was, as mothers are, quite active in rearing the child. And she had her own issues. And I guess she still does, because I never saw her. It is now, again, we are programmed to be the way we are until we change the programming. When life gets so stressful that we have to do something, then there's a good possibility we're going to change the program. So I got my little notes here, and I'll refer to them because I don't want to miss too much. Even though I worked with this client for some time. In early childhood, the mother always stressed body image, particularly around weight. So the mother would caution the client as a child not to eat too much at dinner because it would affect them in negative ways. So at mealtime, the client learned not to eat too much, because when the client ate too much, mom would come down and take the food away, or caution her very strenuously about not eating, that it wasn't good for her or him, and that's what, and that's how she was or he was raised. When they went shopping for clothes, the mother would point out that to get the clothes to fit, they had to go up to the next age group, because most of the clothes at that time are based upon, age as a general rule. So they had to go up to the next group, which was problematic and stressful on the mother, and she passed that right on to the child. So what the child learned to do was not to eat with the family. She would, she would sit at the table, play with her food, eat a little bit, and not eat too much. Here's programming. The client would come down at night into the kitchen and eat leftovers alone, with nobody talking to her and nobody criticizing how the client ate. So we're beginning to develop patterns of behavior that this client went through. Now, another thing that stood out for this client is that around age 8 or 9, where I'm not a little sure, and the person isn't either, the family went on a trip, a 2-week trip to California, except the client. The client was sent, in the client's words, to a boot camp for fat kids and missed going to California and was separated from the family at a very young age. So again, there is the feeling that the client, there's something wrong with them. And now your self-talk. We talked about self-talk in the past. How are you describing yourself? Because you're developing now, you're developing this picture of who you believe yourself to be. And so the picture is, I can't do, another thing that the client pointed out. When they went to family reunions or parties where there was a lot of food, you know, people brought a lot of food to eat at the party or the family reunion, big table filled with food, the client would eat when the mother was distracted and doing something else. So the client was always hiding patterns of eating. Also, the client hid food in the bedroom and would eat at whenever nobody was around to criticize her or comment on her behavior. So here we have a whole strata of behaviors caused by beliefs and strategies to reduce the stress that the client was feeling. So now the client is in her early 30s, and he has these same patterns. He doesn't eat with the kids at the family, with the family. Would plays with the food, and then after, in the kitchen, would eat leftovers, and would come down into the kitchen, it still does, comes down into the kitchen at night and feeds on the leftovers, and still hides a little bit of food here and there, or candy bar or whatever it is, in the bedroom, where when nobody's around, the client can enjoy it in peace. So now, of course, there's much, much more associated with this client. But I wanted to begin to point out how we, at a very young age, begin to develop the behaviors that we have and the beliefs that we have about ourselves. How our self-talk, below, for the most part, below conscious awareness, affects us. So now we have a belief system that generates a image of who we believe ourselves to be. And it's very strong, because over and over and over and over, the client used these systems to reduce their anxiety. And in times of sleep or stress, when the body relaxes into an altered state, these are reinforced. Now that they're in their 30s, it's the way they are. Now, as we talked about in the last video, you can change those. You can change those. You can manifest. You can override your programming. And when you override your programming, you will get the changes that you want. Because you will use systems to override the program. For instance, in eating, you can go on a diet. You can use almost any kind of diet, because when you stop eating, you're going to gain weight. When you drop the carbs, or you don't have sugar, or sweeteners, or all kinds of stuff like that, get off of cane sugar, go to other sweeteners, you're going to have an effect on the body. But it is an overriding of the program. Now, when you go off the diet, and many people have had this experience, go off the diet, and after a period of time, end up right back where you started from, or worse. Or worse. And why would that be? Because when you override the program, it's not the truth. When you stick with your belief system and what you know to be true for you, your picture of who you are, that's the truth. So all manifesting, when you start manifesting because you want something different, when you start manifesting, it's not the truth. And people they say, wow, that's kind of strange, but think about it. If you have, say you want to get a new job, and therefore you come up with an affirmation, or you start a vision board, or you do other techniques. And basically what you're doing is you're concentrating on the affirmation. By the way, that should be what's called a well-formed affirmation. Unfortunately, most people don't know how to write a well-formed affirmation. And that's another thing we should talk about. This is very prevalent in addiction work, to have the right affirmation. It's not so much the affirmation isn't magic, but it is on how it affects the subconscious mind. So a well-formed affirmation is a good start. But to begin with, if we pick finding a new job, and basically what it says, I love my new job. And you can expand on that, but basically it's a, you have an affirmation that defines the feelings and attitudes that you will have in your new job. In the beginning, it's a lie. It's a lie. And that's why you have to do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over until the truth moves from your old picture to your new picture. There are several hypnotic techniques to move that. So now I'm going to have a little sip of tea. This is a peach tea, peach and black tea, along with gunpowder green tea. They call it gunpowder because it looks like gunpowder when it's made. So that's kind of interesting. So this particular client is affected her whole life by her beliefs and inability to release and let go of her past. And he will do that until he changes or she changes her past. Our belief system is very powerful. And like I was explaining about affirmations, a well-formed affirmation supports the subconscious mind in seeing things differently. But you have to do it many, many hundreds of times to move from what isn't true, the change you want, and what is true, what you believe your life is now. That's your truth. So to make that transition, you have to heal the past and make a very conscious effort through repetition and through altered states to change who you are, which is your belief system. Now, again, the belief system is made from memories of life experiences that come together in groups and develop different beliefs. And so to change the beliefs, you have to change, or what I call healing, you need to heal your memories of past negative experiences. Now, positive experiences are not going to be a problem to you. But here again, your negative experiences override positive ones. You get a whole bunch of good experiences to remember, but then you get one negative, oh darn, experience, wipes them all off. Positive experiences are wonderful to remember, but they have no energy to change negative experiences. Negative experiences energize your defense systems. And in another video, and I'll reference it up there, is your 3 brains, and the most dominant one is your reptilian brain. So we'll tie those together. When you look at that video, you might get an idea of why negative memories are so much more critical to who you believe yourself to be than a whole bunch of positive ones. And that's why it's in changing the negative ones, which aren't going to be that many, but they're going to be traumatic. Change your belief system. And you become a different person. So, now, A Course in Miracles. Again, I want to mention one, and in the description, in the video description, we'll have references to this quote. And here is the quote. Understand that you do not respond to anything directly. Now, we've alluded to this in the past, we've said it in the past, but the Course is saying it quite specifically. Understand that you do not respond to anything directly. But to your interpretation of it. Now, I want you to kind of get this, because this is an underpinning of a lot of change process. It is, you don't experience anything directly. This includes pain. That's why my first book was All My Pain and Suffering. Had to change it. I tried to change it to All Our Pain and Suffering, because all our pain and suffering, however we feel it, is an interpretation in the mind, not in the body. Another area that we can go into in depth. Everything is in the mind first, and then we experience it through the body. And this client is, her pain and suffering, as he defined it, is around interpretations of what has come through to him, basically from his mother. And so she, every time mom comes over, the client gets nervous, almost to, in some cases, hyperventilating. So programmed is she into what her mother is telling her, and he can't change without help. That's why he came to see me. And we did some fantastic work. But like everything else, the client is much more than they're aware of, and much more than they can bring to the table. They can do their own healing once they begin to let go of the past and recognize the power that they have. So now I'm going to quickly, and I'm going to rate it. You'll see it on the video as an add-on screen or picture. The things that we just discussed. You are programmed, period. That's the bottom line. You are programmed, and you are responding through your life to the programming. Even if you override it, how you override it is still responding to the program. Programming starts in the womb and continues throughout your life. Your outside world is a reflection of your inside condition. And as you change your inside condition through affirmations, through manifesting or healing the past, as you do that, you change the outside. As you change inside, the outside changes as a reflection of all of those changes. The bottom line, you can change your programming. Oh, we have much to talk about here in the illusion. So be good to yourself. We'll expand on this in many different ways, because you got to do it over and over and over and over until you change, or I change. Be good to yourself, and we'll look forward to seeing you here next time in the illusion. Bye now.